Hello everyone, I'm Dr.A.G.Mythili, Assistant Professor, Department of Commerce with Finance, Dr. SNS College of Arts and Science. In this video, we are going to see about liquidity risk management. So what is liquidity risk? So liquidity risk is inability of a bank to meet its obligations when it comes due. So liquidity risk management is a proactive process of ensuring a bank that has the cash on hand to meet its financial obligations as and then when it comes due. It is a critical component of financial performance as it's directly impact a bank's working capital. So liquidity risk in banks refers to possibility that a bank cannot meet its short-term obligations such as customers withdrawal due to insufficient cash or liquid assets. So liquidity risk management in banks involves ensuring that a bank has enough liquid assets to meet its short-term obligations without facing financial distress or destruction to costly last-minute funding. Effective liquidity risk management is crucial as it helps to banks to maintain trust and confidence among customers, regulators and investors. So the banks has to see that it has to maintain liquidity. So there are types of liquid risk in banks. Funding liquidity risk, market liquidity risk. So funding liquidity risk is the risk that a bank cannot obtain necessary funding to meet its obligations. So market liquidity risk is that bank cannot sell its assets at a fair value due to illiquid market. So the causes for this liquidity risk in banks is due to assets liability mismatch. When a bank long-term loans are funded by short-term deposit, it creates a mismatch that leads to liquidity problem. Sudden withdrawal. Large unexpected withdrawal by depositors can create immediate liquid pressure. So credit rating downgrades. This can reduce the bank's ability to assess funding in the market. Market stress. Adverse market conditions may make it difficult to liquidate assets or borrower money. So there are different tools for liquidity management. So liquid coverage ratio, that is LCR. Banks are required to maintain a sufficient buffer of high quality liquid assets to cover their net cash outflows for 30 days in a stressed scenario. So it is to ensure short-term reliances to liquidity disruptions. So net stable funding ratio. It ensures that the bank have enough stable funding to support their activities over a 1 year period under stressed conditions. So it is to promote stable long-term funding sources. Stress testing and scenario analysis. Bank conducts stress tests to evaluate their liquidity position under hypothetical adverse scenarios such as market-wide liquidity crisis or institution-specific shocks. Next is contingency funding plan, that is CFP, establishing detailed contingency plan of liquidity crisis including actions such as liquid assets borrowing from central bank or accessing backup credit lines. Diversification of fund. Bank diversify their source of fund including customers deposit, wholesale funding, central bank facilities and interbank loan to reduce dependency on any single source. Liquidity gap analysis. This is an ongoing analysis of a gap between cash inflows and cash outflows, that is from loans to investment, such as withdrawals and liability, to identify potential liquidity shortage, that is incoming of cash and outgoing of cash, that is the liquidity gap ratio. So all these things has to be done by the bank. So coming to the key aspects of liquidity risk management in banks. So there are some key aspects for the liquidity risk management in banks. So the bank has to follow liquidity coverage ratio, that is NFRC, that is net stable funding ratio, and then stress testing and scenario analysis, CFP, contingency funding plan, diversified funding sources, that is ALM, active liquid liability management, monitoring and reporting requirements. So the bank has to monitor and it report every time whenever it is necessary. It has to monitor and report on regular basis. Intraday liquidity management. So the bank has to manage its liquidity. So the liquidity buffer, central bank access. So it has to have the backup for this liquidity risk management. Effective liquidity risk management ensures a combination of regulatory compliances, strategic planning and real-time monitoring. So the banks has to follow regulatory compliances and it has to have strategic planning for its liquidity risk management, and it has to follow real-time monitoring process. It has to set up real-time monitoring process to monitor the liquidity risk. By implementing these tools and techniques, banks can mitigate liquidity risk, enhancing stability and improve resilience to market disruptions. Thank you.